All right, you guys, so this week I have the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Bison. Now, this Bison is a beast of a truck, and I'm super excited to review this for you guys. Now, as you can see, it is raining a little bit today, but the good news is that Chevrolet actually sent me the keys to this Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Bison for 7 days. So this isn't some vehicle that's from a dealership that I get to drive for a few hours and then take back. This is a full-on press vehicle, which means I get to take this thing off-roading. I'm gonna put a trailer on it, put it to the test, and really test this truck to see what it's all about. So this is going to be my full in-depth review. I'm gonna show you the exterior, the interior, everything about the features. Of course, we're gonna take it off-roading, we're gonna take it for a drive, and we're really gonna see what this truck is like. Let's check it out. All right, so the Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 Bison. Now, if you don't know about the Bison, basically it is not going to be a better ZR2. It's not a more performance-oriented version of an already high-performance ZR2. This is going to be essentially the same truck, just taking it into a slightly different direction. So I'd say they're both on equal playing fields, the Bison and the normal ZR2. This is just more overland ready. So if you're gonna take it overlanding, which involves days of taking it on trails where you're just miles and miles and miles away from any civilization, you're beating up the front bumper a lot, rear bumper, you're scraping the under part of the vehicle. This has parts necessary so that you aren't going to break any major components and that it can handle that long distance torture, quote unquote. So the ZR2 Bison, this one in specific, is going to be priced at around $53,000. You guys can see the exact MSRP here on the screen, and that's a good chunk of change. But if you're the type of person who wants a from the factory ready to go vehicle for whatever you plan on doing, so let's say in this case overlanding, and you don't have to put a bunch of extra money and extra time into it, then this is what you get. Comes with your warranty, everything like that. And some people may scoff at that, but at the same time, there are people that love to work on their vehicles, and then there are people that love to work hard and then don't want to also work on their vehicles. They might as well use that hard-earned money to just buy something that's ready to go. Now, coming up here to the front, if you guys don't know who AEV is, they are American Expedition Vehicles. They teamed up with Chevrolet to build this truck. And the first thing they did was get rid of the plastic bumper on the ZR2 and replace it with this full-width boron steel bumper. It is ridiculous. And so you do have a less of an approach angle because of this bumper. So that could be looked at as a negative, and it definitely is if you do more of a focus on rock climbing whenever you do take out your ZR2. However, this does have fog light auxiliary, so you'd have your fog lights incorporated into there. This is winch ready to go, and it's full steel. So if I get up here, you guys can hopefully hear this. Like, that is ridiculous. It is so heavy duty. And I do love this new grille that says Chevrolet. I wish they would have done that on the normal ZR2 because this thing looks so mean. I love that new grille. I think it fits, it really does work, and I love the overall look that it gives the truck. Now you also have wider fender flares here on the truck, so you can see that right there. I think they look great. It almost gives it that like Baja truck sort of look. I mean, this definitely looks like a mini Ford Raptor. This is the closest thing I've driven to a truck like that. It is very impressive, you guys. One knock is that I don't like the fact it doesn't have LED lights. Now, to most people, it's not a big deal, but when you're paying $53,000, I don't think it's much extra money to throw in LED lights. So as a result of that, you don't have great visibility at night. I would think you would want better visibility overlanding and doing things like that, but I may be wrong. I've never been truly overlanding, so I probably can't say anything about it. So you have projectors here, normal halogens right down there. At night, it looks pretty okay. It looks like a normal truck. You can't really tell a huge difference unless you get close to it and you can actually see the body of this thing, and then you know that it truly is something special. Now, coming here to the wheels, you are going to have Wrangler Duratrax, and you have AEV specific wheels right here. Coming behind those wheels, that's where the magic is, and you have these Multimatic DSSV spool valve dampers. And these are basically like F1 shocks on a truck. But what that equates to is you have great on-road capability and incredible off-road capability. So it really is the best of both worlds. Boron steel skid right under here. And then if you can see this, hopefully you can, let me get right over here. You're going to have 5 boron steel skid plates underneath this truck. And you can see right here, that's your skid plate for the diff. So you don't have to be doing any crazy rock crawling or getting over an obstacle to get to your camping site while you're overlanding and you hit a huge rock, your diff's messed up, and all of a sudden you're stranded out in the middle of nowhere. So it is to help with things like that. You have a rock rail here on the side, pretty solid rock rail right there. One cool thing is that this front bar here is actually integrated into the frame of the truck. So the entire structure of the truck is going to take that force instead of just a small part of that bumper. Now, one other thing I thought was insane is that, see this piece right here? It looks great, it looks fantastic from the side, gives the truck a super mean, really aggressive look. And when people see that Duramax diesel badge, they freak out because they don't realize that Chevrolet even makes a Duramax in the Colorado. They just have no clue. I was surprised how many people don't know that there's a Duramax version of the Colorado. But this is what's more shocking. This is completely fake. There's no functionality whatsoever. So it looks great, looks cool, but it is going to be non-functional. So those of you that hate on the Tacoma for having a non-functional vent, you can no longer do that if you own a Colorado ZR2. All right, once we get to the back quarter panel, I just love the overall styling of this truck. If you guys know me personally, which many of you do not, but I love trucks. Grew up in Texas my whole life, and so I do have a soft spot for trucks. It's really hard for me to justify the fuel economy. But with this being a diesel, you guys will see a little bit later, the fuel economy is actually probably the best I've seen from any truck ever. You have your ZR2 Bison sticker right here in the back. You have these 2 bumpers here on the side. Once again, these are going to be integrated into the frame as well. They're also integrated into the rear bumper here. So that whole structure is going to take a hit if you do hit it against anything. And once again, super solid. And you have your recovery hooks right there, AEV stamp right here. Then as you come up, you're going to have your AEV badge over here off to the side of the truck. Blacked out Chevy badge, Colorado badge there. Looking inside the bed, it's very well damped, so it doesn't slam down like it does on, let's say, the new Ford Ranger. And then you have the ZR2 badge right there that's really nicely put into the bed liner. Now here are the dimensions on the bed of the truck. So it is usable, definitely not as usable as a full size, but it's a mid-size and it's not a full size, so that's why it has less room. So for those of you that hate a lot on mid-size trucks, completely understand, but it is a usable truck for sure. And if you have this bed, I guarantee you it is going to come in handy at some point. All right, so one weird thing about the key. So if you look at it, you would think that it's a normal key fob. So you have your lock, your unlock, you even have a remote start up top, but this is nothing. It is literally just to lock and unlock your vehicle. You still have to use a traditional key to get into the truck, which some people may not think is a big deal, but once again, the truck is $53,000. A key fob, LED lights, these things I don't feel like are super expensive things. I mean, I can go aftermarket and do it for pretty cheap. So the fact that it doesn't come standard on this truck is pretty ridiculous to me. And the weird part is when you use your remote start, let's say your truck is started, so it was raining today, and let's say you get out to the truck. If the truck is still locked, you still have to reach into your pocket, pull out your key, and then hit this button to unlock your truck. And that's even worse if you have things in your hand. So that's just something to think about. All right, so once we walk inside of the Bison, you're just gonna have a black interior. So the door is gonna be just all black. There's nothing super special here. It's more just functionality or usability. At least that's what you would think. So you have 3 pockets here. You've got, well, technically a little area there to put things in. It's really just a grab handle to shut the door. An area here and then an area there. But if you guys can see here, they're just extremely shallow. I mean, there's hardly fitting anything in there. Just to give you guys an idea, that's like, I mean, that's how wide it is. So not sure why the door pockets are so narrow. Even the bottle holder, I have the keys in here, and you guys can see just by that, let's see, you can see just by that how big that is. So it's not big at all. Really kind of disappointed in that, but you do have your normal function buttons here. So your window controls, door lock, and have your mirror locks or mirror controls right up there, and then your door locks are going to be right up here. Now coming down here, I do apologize because the very first day I got this, we did take it off-roading to get footage for this vehicle, and so it's a little bit dirty on the inside. But coming down here, you do have a ZR2 branded kick plate. I think it looks pretty cool. So you can see that right there. I do like the look of it. Even though it doesn't illuminate at night, it still looks really nice. You can get a better look at these rock rails here. Love seeing that when you hop into the truck. But these are AEV branded floor mats. So I do love that there are rubber floor mats, because when things like this happen, you can lift this up and your carpet is still nice and good to go. So that is nice to have. And you do have your seating controls right here. The back rest right here is going to be manual, and you just control it using this latch right here. Leather quality is pretty decent. You've got some stitching going right here, so if you guys can see that, and you don't have any perforations or anything, just smooth black leather going up through the top, and you have your Bison specific signature engraved into the seat. It says AEV. So let's go ahead and hop in and we'll check out the rest. All right, so let's shut the door on the Bison. Pretty solid shut. Not the most solid shut I've ever heard, but it is a solid shut. Here's a quick look around the inside. Now, like I showed you, it is going to be just a normal key. So what that means is you have a normal key slot. So stick it right in there. It's going to turn on the power. All right, so starting at the steering wheel for the Bison. So just a normal looking steering wheel. It's not the fanciest thing I've ever seen. It does have a nice handle here. Then over here to the right, you have all your controls for your media, voice commands, phone hang up right there. To answer, it's going to ask you to push select. And then over to the left, you are going to have your cruise control buttons. This does not have adaptive cruise, unfortunately, but you do have a heated steering wheel right there, so that is nice to see. And of course, your Chevrolet bow tie there in the middle. Now, using these buttons here, I'll show you guys a little bit about this screen setup right back here. So it's very simple, and you have your tack to the left, and you have your speedometer over to the right side. And that's pretty much it. Up to the top, you have your fuel and your water temp, and then you can go through all of these different screens and see like how much range you have, what your average miles per gallon. So just around city, I've been getting around 20.4 throughout the week. So that is extremely good, and one of the benefits of diesel. And as you'll see a little bit later when I show you under the hood, it is a lot better than the claimed fuel economy. And I'll even show you guys what this gets on the highway later as well. Coming down, you've got your range, oil life, like tire pressure, oil pressure, fuel filter pressure, transmission fluid, off-road features. So if you're in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, what tilt angle you're at, and just everything like that. So it's very, very helpful. And then DEF, which is going to be your exhaust fluid to help keep those emissions where they need to be for the truck. And do remember, you got to top that off, so we're at 36% right now. And yes, that's pretty much it. And you can scroll over to the right, see things like media. You know, doesn't really have anything too much on the navigation, just tells you like north, east, south, or west, which I thought was pretty funny. Phone command, sorry, my camera keeps acting up on me. And then you have all these different units here. So pretty simplistic, very, very simplistic. As a matter of fact, you are going to have your wipers here. You don't have automatic wipers, so you do have to do it yourself. And over here, you're going to have your blinker, and then your high beams, and your lights are going to be controlled right down here. Over next to that is how to put it into its different drive systems. So as standard, it is two-wheel drive. Flip it over here for automatic. You're gonna flip it one more time for 4 high. Then you have to throw it into neutral to throw it into 4 low. And if you push this button, that's going to put you in an off-road mode, which is basically going to help keep you in like a more torque part of the rev range, if that makes sense. And then coming up, you're going to have your trailer brake right here, so you can adjust the gain right there. You can manually do the trailer brake just like that. And then you're going to have your vent here. As you come up, you don't have much up here. Hard touch plastic, hard touch plastic. You've got a speaker located right back there. Then coming off, one thing I do want to mention, I love the way the front hood looks. So when you're sitting here in the truck and you look out, it's cool to see the hood up like that. It's a really cool look. You're going to have an area here, if you guys can see this. You have an area to put things pretty deep. decently deep, put like a phone or something like that in there. Another speaker over here, more hard touch plastic. I really wish it was a little bit softer material. You're going to have your head unit right here. Very easy to work. Home button's gonna be right here in the corner. The only thing I don't like is touching these buttons is kind of hard because it's so close to this little bezel here, and it's pretty deep. It's about that deep. And so I have to like push in like that. And sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. So I say if you can use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, just do that and stick with that for the most part. Use those voice commands to the best of your ability. Coming down, you do have, of course, your volume there. Home button, some more manual commands, tune knob right there. You have single zone air here, so you don't have dual zone. So you can see right there. All of your different zones. Then as you come down, you can have some more controls here, which is pretty cool. So as a matter of fact, a lot of these controls are going to be used for your off-roading. So you're going to have like your traction control right down there. You're going to have your rear diff, front diff lock, which is incredible that this truck has a front locking diff. Your hazards next to that. You're going to have your exhaust brake for whenever you're towing. Your hill descent, you're going to have your bed light. And then below that, you're going to have heated seats for the passenger and then heated seats for the driver. A tiny area to maybe put your keys. Maybe my GoPro could fit there, not even. So there is that. Then as you come down a little bit more, you have two USB ports down there. You have an auxiliary right in between those two USB ports. You have a 12 volt right back here, if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can. And then a little bit of storage area here. I have my charger plugged in for my camera battery. Two cup holders, which are great. They fit drinks very, very easily. And you've got this big old school feeling shifter. I mean, this is a really old school feeling shifter. I really wish they would kind of update it, but that's just a small complaint, to be honest. Most people will not mind it. And you can manually shift gears right here off to the side. Throw into reverse. You're going to have a backup camera which comes up. You have your trailer view right there, and then you have your normal view there. And these lines will turn with the steering wheel, which is kind of cool. And of course, reverse, drive, park, your low gear right here. As you come back, you have a wireless charging pad. You're going to have a decently sized armrest area right here. So my arm can fit pretty well. So no issues right there. You lift that up. You've got a very deep storage space, which is nice. It's great to have that in there. A little lens cap right there. And you don't have any kind of connections in here, just a real deep area. Over here you have a glove box, which is not going to be lockable, unfortunately. You have your mirror here, which is going to be auto dimming. Sunglass holder right there. Your lights are not going to be LED, but you do have lights up here nonetheless. Vanity mirror with two lights on the outsides. It's pretty much going to be it for the front seat. Let's go ahead and hop in the back and check out the room. All right, you guys, so coming to the back of the ZR2 Bison, it's just as practical as a normal Colorado or a normal ZR2. So you have a handle here, you pull that up, and you're gonna pull up on the seat, and you actually have storage space located right underneath here. So it is gonna come standard with your wrenches to get like your bolts off of your tires if you need to change a flat. I do have my gimbal right back here for my camera. I've got a GoPro down here, and I just kind of put random things here. You can put whatever you want here. That's the cool thing about this. You can get as creative as you want, and the sky's the limit with what you can put under here. So that's pretty cool. So if I pull that handle, this will fold back down, and then you can also fold the rear part of the seat down by pulling back like that. So if you wanted a flatter space, you can fold down both, and that'll give you a flat kind of loading area if you need that for whatever reason. Once again, you can get as creative as you want. So you do have that. Now coming back here, you do have an armrest. Armrest is pretty good size. I do like that folds up and down. Of course, your rear window right back here, so it's great if you have dogs or if you have a dog in the back of the bed and they want to say hello. So you have that window right there, which is nice to use. Now if I actually hop in, it is a little bit of a high jump. I'm 6 feet tall and I still have to kind of jump to get into this truck, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I love tall trucks, especially being from Texas. I like it. So once I'm sitting back here, my headspace is a little cramped. Once again though, I do have my hair up right now because it's just been super hot lately. But if I didn't have it like this, I'd probably have a good amount of room. This adds about another 2 to 3 inches to me. So that's why it is scraping. But someone who's just normally 6 feet tall should fit pretty well back here, but if you are 6'2" to 6'3", you will have a little bit of an issue with your head scraping. As far as my knee space, I do actually have the seat set to my position, so I have about 3.5 inches of knee room, which is great. My feet can slide underneath the seat easily. You have 2 USB ports back here. You have a 12 volt. You don't actually have any vents back here, which is a bummer, especially if you have kids and you plan on putting car seats back here. You do have a mat pocket behind the passenger seat only, and then you have that same shallow, like narrow storage area here in the door, so it's not any better when you move to the back. You have a grab handle here if the driver decides to randomly take everyone in the vehicle off-roading, and then you also have a hook to put dry cleaning and things like that. No LED lights, just your normal lights back here, but that's pretty much going to be it for the back seat. Let's go ahead and see what's under the hood. All right, so under the hood of the ZR2 Bison, you are going to have the Duramax 2.8 liter inline 4-cylinder turbo diesel. So this is going to make 186 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. So that is a good amount of torque for a small inline 4-cylinder diesel. So what that means is when you do take this rock crawling, it has great low-end torque to push the truck over those big rocks, and you guys will see that a little bit later, actually in just a second. So the other great thing is going to be fuel economy. So this is bolted to a 6-speed automatic transmission. If you do go for like a V6 normal ZR2, that is bolted to an 8-speed, but because you have the diesel, this is only a 6-speed automatic. But it gets possibly some of the best fuel economy I've seen in a truck. Like, if I'm being straight up with you guys, I have gotten like close to 30 miles per gallon in this truck. It is pretty insane how great the fuel economy is and what it's capable of. So that's very impressive, and it's a Duramax. So if you're a Chevy fan, you love Duramax diesels, you know that they're great, capable diesel engines. So that is a great thing. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the road and let's see how it does. Alright, so this is definitely my fault. I just didn't see this rock, so I did sort of high center the Colorado. These wheels are just spinning, those wheels are just spinning. Basically all 4 wheels are just spinning, so I can't do anything right now. But it is a good opportunity for me to show you guys the winch, I guess the recovery hooks. You're gonna have a hook right down here. So you're gonna be able to get a winch right there, no issues. Should be able to hook up pretty nicely, but yeah, we're gonna winch it off and keep doing some off-roading. Alright, so now that we've seen some clips of me off-roading this thing, it did incredibly well, so let me kind of talk about more of that in detail. So the one clip I showed you guys where I'm going over this big rock was awesome. That was actually really impressive in person. And this bumper, because it has less ground clearance, you guys can see it got really close to scraping not only the left side of the bumper, but I got really close to using this thing as a shovel and digging it straight into the ground. So that was a little worrisome. Thank goodness I wasn't the one who had to see it get that close from the inside of the truck. The other cool thing was when I took this through the mud, these tires did great. It handles mud with ease. And then because of those shocks, I was able to take it like on real flat, rocky ground, and it handled like I was in like a Ford Raptor or something. It was really fun to just drift around. Even with this diesel, it put up enough power for me to get those rear wheels spinning like crazy, and it was a ton of fun. So that was really cool. One other thing I did want to mention is that this thing can articulate incredibly well. This puts out a ton of flex. It's super crazy that this truck is able to overcome some of the obstacles that it did. I was really, really impressed with it. So from an off-road standpoint, it did about as good as I would say a normal ZR2. Having those extra skid plates really helped in situations where I did scratch the underside of this truck. But once again, that's what the skid plates are there for. They're literally meant to get beat up. That's what they're there for. A lot of people will cringe at that, but I mean, once again, for the like fourth time, that's what they're there for. So with that being said, the other thing I did want to mention was I've been off-roading a couple times, I think about 5 times total, and this was the most comfortable I have been in that situation. So when you're getting tossed around, going over rocks, and you're just being thrown back and forth, it gets pretty bumpy and it gets pretty harsh inside the cabin. I was the most comfortable in this vehicle than in anything else I've driven. So that is saying a lot about these shocks, how versatile they are, and just overall how good and comfortable that they can be. Now next I want to show you guys how this thing tows, so we're going to switch over to a different day and we're going to do some towing. Alright you guys, so now I'm going to do some towing with the ZR2 Bison. So I've got it hooked up to what is probably its maximum towing capacity. So this trailer is about 4,500 to 4,600 pounds, and the towing capacity for the Bison is going to be about 5,000 pounds because of the different suspension for off-roading. If you get a non-ZR2 diesel Colorado, it can tow about 7,600 pounds. So you do lose towing capacity, and then the payload goes down to only 1,100 pounds with the ZR2 and the ZR2 Bison. So we're gonna put this thing to the test. I'm pretty much maxing it out on towing capacity, so I'm very curious to see how this thing's gonna do. All right, so towing in the Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison. Now, it's doing a pretty good job. Now, I'm not gonna lie, you definitely notice that trailer behind you, possibly because I'm so close to maxing out this towing capacity. And you do have to plan your moves in advance because this doesn't have a lot of top end horsepower. You have to utilize your torque well. It has the torque to get you up and moving. It's just once you are up and moving, you can't really go that fast. So that is the downside of this engine. It only makes like 180 something horsepower, so it's not very fast. So once again, plan out your moves in advance. So right now we're driving to College Station. It's about 162 miles and it's about 2 hours and 23 minutes from where I am currently. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here into the trip monitor. I'm gonna go ahead and just reset it from here. So everything's zeroed out. And I'm gonna see what kind of MPG I get going there. I've got the exhaust brake on just in case. Can help me slow down just a bit. I don't really feel it though. I'm going pretty light on all of the throttle and the brake, and I don't necessarily feel anything. So not really sure if it's working. Not sure if there's anything else I need to do. I just hit the button and it's got the little trailer right there and it said exhaust brake is on. But you know, I guess I'll find out during my trip. The other thing is that the mirrors don't have any sort of way to fold out or get bigger so I can see around the trailer, because obviously out of my rear view mirror all I see is the word U-Haul, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, you guys, so we made it to College Station, and to check out how the Colorado did as far as fuel and everything is concerned. So let me try to brighten this up a little bit. All right, so that's what I got. Drove 164 roughly miles, and I averaged about 17.5 miles per gallon. I was at full tank when I left, and now I'm a little bit below half a tank, so that's definitely not bad at all. Alright you guys, so I'm here just filling up the truck with some more diesel, but that's pretty much going to wrap up the review. Now one thing I do want to mention before I do end things here is that you know, since the trailer is empty, it weighs about 3,700 pounds, and that's really the sweet spot for this truck. That's when I truly had no issues towing this thing. You barely felt it in the back, but it is a very, very low weight, and it's not often that you'll be towing something that's that light, unless it's just like a small trailer with jet skis or something like that. But for the most part, it's been a good truck. It's very fuel efficient. Like I said, you guys saw the fuel economy figures. It's absolutely impressive and possibly the most economical truck I think I've ever driven. And I think other thoughts would be that between this and let's say a normal ZR2, if you're gonna do rock crawling more as a sport and you're gonna have that as your focal point, I'd say go with the normal ZR2, save yourself a little bit of extra cash, unless you just want that unique look and you don't want to be like everyone else on the road who has a normal ZR2, you want to be a little bit different, then sure, go for the Bison. But also, if you have more of a focal point on overlanding, then the Bison really is something special, especially considering you have those heavy duty parts to protect you from things whenever you are out doing days and days worth of off-roading. But as you guys can see, it works pretty well as a normal truck, and yeah, it's been really good. I'm very impressed with it. Let me know what you guys think by letting me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, if you found it helpful. Hopefully you did, and be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next review. Y'all take care. Bye.